Well, we are beginning with the redacted version of the Mueller Report, a day that so many in this town and around the world have been waiting for. The 400-plus pages were released to the public, and after Attorney General William Barr's press conference this morning, the AG is going to stand by his initial summary that no evidence of collusion was found between President Donald Trump and the Russian government. Now, this also explains why Special Counsel Robert Mueller did not look to seek obstruction of justice charges against the president. However, this document in its redacted form still has not been able to satisfy leaders in Congress or our friends in the media. And we may even still see Robert Mueller back up on Capitol Hill in the coming weeks to answer more questions. For more, we're joined by RT correspondent Dan Cohen, who has been following this all day. You've been out in the streets of D.C., you were at the DOJ. When all of this stuff came down, now we're looking in the afternoon, the dust is starting to settle, yet some people are still trying to have questions about this. So I got to start with you. What did the report actually say?
Well, William Barr, the Attorney General, was emphatic at his press conference at the DOJ this morning, denying conclusively that Trump coordinated, colluded, conspired with the Russian government.
Exactly. Everything that everybody's accused him of.
Take a listen to what he said.
As you will see, the special counsel's report states that his, quote, investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities.
Well, it's interesting. So let's go even more in depth. What actually was in the report?
Well, the report put to sleep a lot of the key allegations that we've heard for the past couple years about, Trump's supposed collusion with Russia. One of which was the theory that a Trump campaign member sought to dilute the Republican National Committee's platform on sending weapons to Ukraine as some sort of quid pro quo. That was totally denied. Barr did say that the Russian government interfered in the 2016 election, and he cited the Internet Research Agency, which is basically a private clickbait operation with no proven link to the Russian government. And he also cited the Guccifer 2, which he says is actually the Russian military intelligence and that provided that hacked the Democratic National Committee and provided emails to military.
Okay, I got to stop you on that one question because you've read through this, and I've only been able to skim. You've got a lot more in depth on it than I. You did mention those two things right there, but I'm also in the back of my mind going, the FBI never was able to examine the DNC servers. They were never. So he's basically going off of information that he received secondhand from the DNC. There's nothing in this report that says that the FBI and the DOJ themselves were able to examine, and this is where the source is.
Right, exactly. They never examined the servers, and so the indictment of the Russian troll farm and all this stuff is all, and the GRU supposedly hacking the Democratic National Committee servers is all based on an indictment that there's no actual evidence. But what's really remarkable is, according to this report, the words are, GRU officers appear to have stolen thousands of emails and attachments. So why does it say appear? If they have evidence, if they know for sure,
why aren't
they say
it?
Exactly.
Wasn't that what the point of this report coming in? I know we had to redact parts of it for security reasons. Wasn't that the point, though, of publishing this, that we would answer all those questions and appearances would be confirmations with evidence, and yet we're still using these type of vague terms?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, despite what we've learned from the report, for a lot of people, it's still not enough.
Well, obviously not. That's my question, the reaction of it. I know last night I was kind of shocked. I was looking through Twitter, and media folks, as well as people that were in the Never Trump staff, they were toasting each other. They were thinking it was going to be Christmas today. I was kind of shocked because I would have thought we would have heard about this. What's been the reaction post the release of this report?
Well, the representatives, the congressmen who have been, leading the Russiagate charge and insisting that there's evidence out there, they're still going with it. They're saying it's not enough. Jerry Nadler wrote on Twitter that it's clear Congress and the American people must hear from the special counsel, Robert Mueller, in person to better understand his findings, set a deadline of May 23rd to happen. So even though Barr came out and said, no collusion, the report has been released, it's still not enough. We saw Adam Schiff accusing Barr of seeking to manipulate, shape the public's perception of the report just by having a press conference. So as much as we've seen basically this has been totally vindicated. Trump has been totally vindicated in collusion with the Russian government. It's just not enough for some people.
Well, and that's the other thing. I think that Mueller used some very vague terms in there, and we have to get a legal mind in here to talk about, where he says there wasn't enough evidence, but we're not going to clearly just say it didn't happen. But there's not enough evidence for us to specifically cite that there was any sort of cover-up or there was collusion that happened. Why do you think it was so? I don't want to say why, but why is this throughout the entire report? These general terms. Are we leaving with more questions than we even had this morning before the report came out?
Well, I mean, there are definitely some general terms, and that's been a theme throughout. Some vague terms. That's been a theme throughout the Russiagate, campaign. But I think most importantly is that we learned conclusively, finally, that there was no collusion. Right. And so, you'd think that that would be something to celebrate. It's weird. Rachel Maddow last night was saying to have low expectations, as if it's a bad thing that the Russian government didn't interfere or collude with the president of the United States, that our democracy works, at least as, by the rules that were created. So I don't know why that's a bad thing. Yeah,
that was the other thing that I've been shocked by the post coverage that I have seen, is that they're saying, you know what, we should be excited that that's how it worked, and that it wasn't the Trump campaign was kind of vindicated what they said. Also missing this, though, I think there was not enough focus on how this all got started initially in the investigation in the Trump campaign. We hear a little bit about some of the organizations. We hear a little bit about the Steele dossier, I think it's mentioned once, or any of the other organizations involved. There's not enough of an investigation. Is that to come in the future, do you think?
I have no idea. That would be to speculate, but I think it's actually scandalous that, the Steele dossier, which was basically,
or Fusion GPS, even those sorts, and the funding for Fusion. Yeah. All those rumors that have been going around on both sides of the aisle, we didn't get any sort of conclusion as to how this actually started. Did we get the FISA warrant? Was that able to be, was that also unredacted, included in this report?
I do not know if that was in there, but they did not get Carter Page.
They didn't get Carter Page, and he said that there was no Americans that colluded with Russia to help sway this election.
Exactly.
We have a lot of questions. We've got a couple answers. It'll be interesting to see going forward if Mueller himself is called to testify on Capitol Hill.
Indeed.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.